Welcome back, everyone. I am Raven, and joined on the desk for this match is TJ, still here, of course, and we have Savitz for the first time this weekend. How are you doing, Savitz?
I'm doing great. That was a really cool first match that we just saw, and I was a little bit sad that York didn't get played, but it was still very entertaining, that's for sure.
Yeah, this is the rest of the weekend to hopefully see some Yogg shenanigans. And what do you think about the match overall, TJ?
I feel like, I don't know, I said it in the last, but I feel like that's like one of the best times you're ever going to play Yogg-Saron, you know? A lot of times you put it in your deck when you have those situations where it's like unwinnable from most positions, and you just throw it out and then hope for the best, but... unfortunately, like Savitz, I resonate. I'm sad that it didn't get played, but plenty of time left for to see more Yogg-Saron action as the weekend goes on.
Yeah, the next match is going to be ready soon, and it is going to be Chakki versus PNC. So again, a lot of big notes for Chakki recently, and performing very, very well in the tournaments he's played in. Obviously, grabbing a couple of wins, one of which was at DreamHack, and a very impressive performance overall. So I think everyone's really excited to see what he can do in this tournament, especially after coming so close in winter last time.
Yeah, he did make it to the top 8, and he went into that tournament with so much confidence. You could tell in like his interviews at the Winter Championship and just his demeanor going into matches that he was super confident. And I think that was sort of a wake-up call to him. You know, he was looking for that win, and he felt like that win, he sort of deserved a win in Hearthstone by then because of how much work and how much success he had up until that point. And DreamHack Austin was sort of, he went into it without any expectations, you know, without that confidence. I'm just going to take it one match at a time, and that's the tournament he won, so...
Yeah, and in terms of these lineups as well, Chakki is one of the first players that, I think him and a few of his practice partners have swiftly becoming known for this aggressive lineup overall they bring into the tournament. And PNC also has some interesting decks himself.
Oh yeah, like the decks that these guys are bringing are something that we haven't seen that much in the past. For example, Chakki is bringing a Beast Druid and a Pirate Warrior. What? Like those decks are something that you see on ladder every now and then, but in tournament circumstances, those haven't been very common. So it's gonna be cool to see how those match up against the more regular strategies that we might see, like the mid-range warrior that PNC is bringing.
Yeah, and we are going to see a Hunter from PNC as well, which is going to be really interesting. But TJ, do you think this full aggro lineup is going to work? Because I feel like it's either going to work very well or fall on its face, and we're about to find out, at least for the first game, so I'll leave you guys to it. Enjoy the match.
All right, here we go, and Chakki is bringing his own kind of hybrid Shaman, which we were looking at before the match. It's something that also has been a little bit under the radar. Nerubian Prophet is not a card that you see very often.
Yeah, and Chakki actually brought this deck to one of the Onog Opens that he actually won last week. So this is a lineup that's very, very, very similar to the lineup that he brought to that tournament, which he won. And that's an open tournament, sort of similar to the structure of this one. It's not double elimination, but
yeah. Do you think it's a viable strategy just keep the Nerubian Prophet and the Master of Evolution and try to go for some kind of combo? Or is it more important with this particular deck to maybe mulligan for those 1-drops and 2-drops, try to curve out well against an aggressive Shaman like the one that PNC is bringing?
Well, it's such a power turn, and you see this turn. We saw this turn if you tuned into that tournament quite extensively from Chakki, but it's not something that you mulligan for. It's something that's just an added synergy that the deck has. But Nerubian Prophet, it's put in the deck to sort of curve out really well and get that 4/4 body out faster than you normally would. So I like to keep there.
Yep, and to correct myself, PNC is not actually playing an aggressive list. He's playing more of a mid-range type of list. Just the first 3 cards that we saw there, those are cards that are often included in the fast version as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And here, Argent Squire, not a bad pickup, but Lightning Bolt might still be the one that he wants to go for. Next turn he would be overloaded for 1, but still able to play the Squire and save the coin.
Yeah, and this is sort of going to be a lot of the Shaman matchups now, especially 2 lists. Chakki's is more focused on aggression, but he does have like the extra tools, like the Nerubian Prophet and the Master of Evolution. But you will see much more burn spells than the mid-range Shaman holds. You will see Argent Horse Riders and things like that. So a lot of times this matchup comes down to that early board. And a lot of times you see aggro Shamans and mid-range Shamans have very similar openings.
Oh yeah.
But then the mid-range Shaman just sort of pulls ahead with AoE spells and better mid-games.
Yeah, while the more aggressive list tends to get those burn cards and try to finish the game quickly once it gets to those turn 6, turn 7.
Yep.
And here, Argent Squire, not exactly what PNC would like to do on his turn 2, but it might still be better than the Totem. I wouldn't blame him for Toteming, but the Squire does seem a little bit more tempting.
Yeah, he does run the thing for actually, yeah, he does run 2 things for below in his deck. So a lot of times having that value from Totem in other matchups is really great. But in this matchup, it feels like it's more just about that early board. So I really don't blame him for going for that the Squire to try and maybe contest something a little better that Chakki might go for. Maybe a coin Totem Golem, something along those lines that the Rockbiter could answer.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. If there was some kind of thing from below in his hand there, then maybe Toteming would have been more tempting, but he did not have it. And here, this looks like a fairly straightforward Feral Spirits.
So what do you think of the 4-mana 7/7?
4-mana 7/7. A lot of people sometimes get frustrated with that card because it is certainly a powerful card that comes out early, but it does have its downside. Like we see here that PNC is holding a Hex, and when that 7/7 gets hexed, it doesn't just give you a drawback where you paid 1 more mana for it, where like 4 mana for it, and your opponent paid 3 mana for the Hex, but it also overloads, and it can be a huge tempo loss.
Sorry for the confusion. I was talking about the Eerie statue.
Oh,
my bad. My fault. I should have specified
me.
which 4-mana 7/7 I was implying. But yeah, all your points are correct.
Chakki here, look at those Feral Spirits. He's going to just go for the Flame Breather Faceless here, and I think that's a solid choice because PNC does have that overload, so Hex will not punish him just yet for it.
Yeah, he's going to get some value out of it, and what this also does is Chakki's going to be overloaded, but he will still be able to play the Nerubian Prophet going into the beginning of next turn, which is a pretty big deal, being able to play a 2-mana 4/4 without overload, so that's better than Totem Golem. That's one of the best plays you can follow up with the Flame Wreath Faceless.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things to watch Shaman players go at it on how they manage the overload, because it is so important to not just look at what's the best play for this turn, but also to think about the next turn. Like, what do I do? How much mana am I going to have on next turn? What cards could I potentially play? And even longer term. And here, PNC getting some overload there, but the Thunderbolt Valiant not something that he needs to play on turn 5, since the Hex seems like a very good solution to the 7/7.
Yeah. But the thing about this for Chakki is, even though he's able to, sort of cheat out these minions early on with the Nerubian Prophet and the Flame Wreath Faceless, he still doesn't have a really good control over the board, and he hasn't managed to do any damage to PNC. And of course, we talked about it earlier, the mid-range Shaman has all of these tools to deal with their aggressive Shaman's pushes. They have Hexes to deal with the big minions, they have AoE spells, they can make their totems more valuable with Thunderbolt Valiant, and of course, Thing from Below. So I don't know if Chakki's going to be able to close this one out.
Yeah, I have to say that Nerubian Prophet, while it is a 4/4 for 2 mana in this situation, I think the real, the biggest thing that you can do about it, the best way to use that card is with the Master of Evolution, and it was not used here, and it's just going to get easily traded for. PNC definitely the one with the upper hand right now.
Yep. And that's pretty much all of Chakki's momentum stopped.
Yep.
And PNC is actually the one who's sort of has the initiative. He's the one that's sort of piling on this damage. Chakki can take this opportunity to develop Doomhammer, but if you're developing Doomhammer, overloading yourself and not developing any minions, that sort of gives your opponent a free pass to basically develop whatever they want.
Yeah, the Doomhammer does seem a little bit awkward here, but it might still be the strongest play that he has available to him. He could also Feral Spirits and Flame Juggler. He could play the Horse Rider and Flame Juggler. I would be surprised if he went for something like Hero Power here, so we're probably not going to see that. We saw him hover over the Horse Rider, and getting those 2 minions, removing the Feral Spirit off the board, doesn't seem too bad.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing here is making sure that he plans ahead.
Yep.
He tries to take the biggest control of the board, but also make sure that he has openings for his future turns. If he Doomhammers this turn, he goes into the next turn with 4 mana.
Oh, he's hesitating. He might be going for the Hero Power because of how poorly the Flame Juggler would trade for that. But I'm still a tiny bit surprised, because he is kind of falling behind here, so getting an extra 2/3 instead of a 0/2 might have been valuable.
Yeah. Primal Fusion drawn into the hand of PNC. An interesting card that I think a lot of players and personalities at the beginning of Whispers of the Old Gods sort of undervalued. A lot of players sort of said, Primal Fusion, it's cool but won't be used. And that was like most of the card reviews. It just swept it to the side. What have been your thoughts on this card now that we've seen it used in like Zixo's deck list and more mid-range Shaman deck lists?
I think it is quite good, and PNC is choosing to run one of a kind of that card in his deck, and that's certainly something that I personally would also lean towards, because while it can be powerful, like here we see it's going to be +3/+3 for 1 mana. If you have 2 of those in your deck and you draw them in your early hand and you fall behind on the board, it can be very hard to use efficiently.
Yeah, it's very true. There are some situations like the one that we're in now where, you know, you have 1 extra mana, you basically just throw it on the board and it becomes +3/+3 for a single point of mana. And this means that next turn, PNC can Thunderbluff Valiant and Hero Power, which buffs up, you know, his entire board. That Mana Tide totem will become a 5/6 if that's the case next turn, which is incredibly scary.
It's not gonna stick around though. Chakki has that spell power totem, which is going to be key here in being able to remove the Mana Tide with that Lava Burst. So there it goes, and that was a good pickup from the top as well, getting that tunnel draw. Very efficient. In this situation, it's effectively a 1 mana 3/3 with potential to get even bigger.
Yeah, but I mean, is that even going to be enough? Chakki will be going up against bigger minions, still has not put a single point of damage onto PNC, and the highest cost minion that Chakki has in his deck is the Nerubian Prophet, and that's, you know, not a real 6-drop.
No, this is going to be so hard for Chakki here. PNC is looking at exactly the cards that he wants to have in this situation too. All 3 of those are very powerful, and going forward, like, it's just, they are better than the Feral Spirits are. Not in the mid game, but we are in the late stages of the game. And here Thunderbluff Valiant, going for the Hero Power, would let him kill the Tunnel Shock and the Spell Power Totem. He could also go for the Fire Elemental if he wants to remove the Flame Juggler.
Yeah. Both of these players' lineups are some of the rare lineups that choose not to ban Shaman, at least from what we've seen from the Europe preliminary.
Yep.
And I think Chakki going into this matchup might have realized that the mid-range Shaman would have been one that he was going to have trouble winning regardless of what deck he matched up against at first.
Yeah, that's quite possible. But it does often come down to also in mirror matches in general. It does come down to who gets like a better start in a way, because of how many of the same cards there are, how they line up against each other. It can be a bigger deal in mirror matches than it is in matches where both players are playing different classes.
Yeah, and you can see PNC actually looks very stressed, despite seemingly having a lead in this series. Being up against an aggro Shaman, I guess, can just be a stressful experience regardless, because you just don't know how much burst potential they're packing in their hand.
Yeah, but I mean, being at 28 HP, I wouldn't be too stressed right now. Also, 3 cards in his hand. The Totem Golem, maybe not exactly the best pickup, but still quite solid. And here, Thunderbluff Valiant, the only decision is if he wants to Hero Power or play the Totem Golem, but I think you want to go for the value since the game is so late. Yeah, just use the Hero Power. Taunt Totem would be alright. The Searing Totem also not bad.
Yeah,
any of Totem would be just fine.
Yeah. He might be thinking that maybe he wants to put the Totem Golem on the board to apply more pressure early, but as it stands right now, Chakki's going to be on a 2-turn clock regardless.
I'm gonna be honest, I think it might have been better to hold on to that, because next turn with 9 mana, he could have played the Thunderbluff Valiant, he could have played the Totem Golem and Hero Power. Now he missed out on a free totem, so to say. But this does set up almost lethal, so... Or is it even lethal setup? If there were no taunts, because it would be... How much damage? He could play the second Valiant.
I think it's
Hero
16.
Power. So it would be 7... It would be 16, yeah, you're correct. So maybe with a Lightning Bolt from the top, that would seal the deal.
Yeah, a Lightning Bolt or maybe the Rockbiter weapon.
Yeah,
so
he does play 2 of those as well.
There's a few outs.
Chakki is going to taunt up, so the game is not over just yet. Using that Doom Hammer on the Totem Golem just to remove it. Takes 6 damage doing so, but he definitely has to do it. You can't leave that up.
Yeah, you need to sort of ride these Feral Spirits as far as you can and hope for the best out. And I think Chakki sort of sees the writing on the wall here and realized that this match is not going to go in his favor. But he's playing it out to the end. You never know. Master of Evolution can do some crazy things. I really don't think there's too many opportunities for him to mount a comeback, but he's just going to stay in it regardless.
Yeah, this has to be a good draw right now. Not what he was looking for, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Master of Evolution. Is there any card, DJ?
No. He can get a sparring partner.
the Bluegill Warrior.
Oh, a Doomsayer! Oh,
That's
man.
so good. Bluegill Warrior would have bought him another turn, because he would have gotten the 2-1 charger that he could have used to like remove the taunt, then trade the tunnel truck for the fire elemental. So then there only would have been like 7 power on the board. But
Yeah.
oh, actually, it's going to be still 1 off if he gets or when he trades.
Yeah, the funny thing is, if Chakki had gone with that play slightly earlier, he might have had a little bit of a chance if that was Doomsayer, but can't really expect that.
Taunt Totem would have been huge.
Yeah.
This would have given the Doomsayer a chance to go off.
Yeah. But with that, it looks like...
So many cards he can draw, and
Playtime.
that's one of them. So PNC going to take the first game of this series.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, you know, these mirror matches tend to be a little bit more snowballing, but I think mid-range Shaman has just a decent matchup in general against that. Also, he ended up going first, and a lot of times going first sort of dictates you get to drop your threats first in that matchup. So it goes PNC's way, and he's going to take a pretty nice win against Chakki.
Definitely, the Shaman mirror is a big one. Even though that Shaman was likely to find a win at some point against Chakki's lineup, getting the first one. It also, not only do you get the 1-0 lead, but it's a boost for confidence. He might be a little bit like nervous playing on the stream and all that stuff. You really don't want to make mistakes when there's so many people watching.
Yeah, and sort of the opposite thing is happening now with the Americas prelim as opposed to Europe. We've seen a lot of sort of these big names fall in the first round. We saw VLPS, we saw Dog fall in the first round. We saw Tides of Time as well, even though he was up against a known player in Fibonacci. Probably doesn't bode well for Chakki going into this. PNC, though, he's a player from Argentina. He has had a few top 100 legend finishes on the Americas server, so he is definitely no pushover. He's been around sort of the competitive, or at least the online competitive scene for quite a while.
Yeah, this is a good time for him to potentially be making a name out of himself, taking Chakki down on the first round here, maybe 3-0. That would be huge for him going forward.
Yeah, we see his decks remaining there. He has Rogue and Hunter left. And I know firsthand after talking with Chakki and sort of that practice group that created this lineup, this hyper-aggressive lineup, one of the decks they were targeting heavily was Rogue. They figured a lot of people would bring Rogue. Rogue struggles when it's pressured heavily in the early game, and that's exactly what all the decks that they brought do. So maybe Chakki's still feeling comfortable despite dropping that first game.
Well, that's certainly good news for Chakki, that there is a rogue in PNC's lineup in that case, because he could maybe get those 3 wins against that then. Because it does happen quite often in the Conquest format, where your entire lineup can be very strong against the deck in particular, and PNC not gonna go for the rogue just yet, and we are instead going to see this mid-range hunter. How do you feel about the mid-range hunter, DJ?
I love the mid-range hunter. I actually played mid-range hunter last night for about 5 hours and climbed from 550 legend to like top 100. And it felt like, you know, I was doing other things while I was playing it. So it's really strong. I really like the list with Doomsayers that Mr. Yugut was running a few weeks ago when he broke into the top 10 legend. On the Europe servers, but PNC is not running that version. Instead, he's running Flame Jugglers as that sort of third 2-drop as opposed to the Doomsayer.
Yeah, the battle cry sometimes, if you can take out your opponent's 1-drop with it, it can be huge and give you such a big tempo advantage early on.
Yeah, and Chakki is playing Pirate Warrior. It may not seem like it from this opening hand, but we did see some of the pirates. It's basically just an aggressive version of Warrior. A lot of players have realized that this is the sort of version of Face Warrior that has sort of survived all the standard and Whispers of the Old Gods changes because of the added pirate cards that have been included in the set.
Yeah, the Pirate Warrior is one of those decks that I personally really hate playing against, for the reason that my playstyle tends to favor slower decks, and the Pirate Warrior has a lot of early power, so it kind of punishes the slow control style of playstyle.
Yeah, the thing is though, what Midrange Hunter has become is basically a deck that just curves. It just curves out really well. If their curve is interrupted, it's really weak. But if their curve is interrupted, it's super strong. You know, they have lots of 2-drops into Animal Companion, into Infested Wolf, into Stampede Dakota or Stranglethorn, into High Mane, into Call of the Wild. Like that's what they do. And if that is uninterrupted, they will beat you a lot. And Chakki's opening hand is not the best, and that's something that Pirate Warrior suffers from.
And PNC's hand is certainly quite strong. I mean, what more can you even hope for? He had 2 drops, or kind of 3 if we count that freezing trap as well. He has an animal companion or bow for 3. He can choose whichever fits the best, and infested wolf for 4 if he wants to play it early on.
Yeah. And
Certainly strong one, but Chakki does have a good answer to that King's LX for now.
yeah. I think about Pirate Warrior also, though, is even when it has rough starts, they can do a lot of burst damage.
Oh, yeah, and like with the Arcanite Reaper upgrade, it's a lot of sustained damage as well going into turns 6 and 7 and so on.
Yeah, if you know, just in his hand, Arcanite Reaper plus Heroic Strike alone, that's 14 damage over the course of 2 turns. So, you know, the damage that you deal early on, especially against Hunter, which they don't run comeback mechanics, aside from Unleash the Hounds, which is usually a one-of in a lot of mid-range Hunter decks, and they don't run any type of healing. The only type of damage that, or cards that they have that can block damage are Houndmaster and maybe Call of the Wild with Misha or Animal Companion with Misha, but that's it.
Yeah, PNC facing an extremely difficult decision here. I kind of don't like the Flame Juggler here because of the potential Flame Juggler quick shot for next turn. If Chakki plays another minion to quick shot, he could go for Animal Companion, but if he gets a Hopper, that's going to be a disaster for him. Getting Leok, getting Misha would work out a tiny bit better than the Bow, I think, but Bow would be the safe play. Which one does he get? Oh, he gets a Leok. That's a mid ground right there. Because Hopper was not the one he wanted. Misha would have been the best one, but that's fair.
Yeah. This does match up nicely into the Korkon Elite for Chakki, though.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, as PNC, you sort of have to go into a position where you have to take risks sometimes, especially in this matchup where if you give up the board at any point, if you miss at any point, then the Pirate Warrior can sort of run away with the game because they get damage on the board.
Uh-oh! Double Flame Jugglers. Where are the juggles gonna go? Do they take out the minions or do they go for face? First minion is down. But will the second one go down? Oh, you can see it on PNC's face too.
He's like, this is what my life has become! Oh, well, he hit one of them. So, you know, it's
kind of fair.
That's better than both of them going face.
It's true.
But this is the situation you were talking about. Chakki has Arcanite Reaper and Upgrade. And, you know, even though a lot of players will say, oh, you know, face decks are so mindless. You just equip all your damage and you just point it at the face. But the thing is, knowing when you have to change from board control to face damage is actually quite a tough thing to master in Hearthstone.
Definitely. You need to know your spots, and here Chakki recognizes that Heroic Strike upgrade. It should add up to being enough to just finish the game with those, and maybe another card from the top.
What? He has a Rusty Hook on his hand. He just scratched his head with a Rusty Hook. Chakki did. Okay.
Wow, that's
I swear I'm not seeing things. I'm not going crazy, Savitz. Just
all right, I'll believe you.
Fix your eyes on Chakki's webcam and just wait.
All right, all right.
I'll cast a match. Don't worry.
Some role playing going on there.
Yeah, yeah. It was funny. Chakki and the gang that actually made this Pirate Warrior deck actually tweeted out a picture of them dressed up as pirates this morning.
Oh
so,
yeah, I saw that.
Top tier role play. For these guys that brought the Pirate Warrior decks.
Yeah, if they all go down very early, it's gonna look a little bit goofy, but now things are looking
quite
nice.
embarrassing, yeah.
But right now things are going Chakki's way. He's definitely the one who's in charge of this game so far. Dread Corsair, pretty good, I would say. It's a 0-mana minion, can play the Frothing, can play the upgrade. Bloodsail Corsair seems good.
Seems good. Yeah, and this is quite a big tempo play here. But the thing is, PNC does have some ways to stop this damage.
Yep.
But the way he stops the damage is by not developing minions on that turn, which means that gives Chakki more turns to draw into all of this damage. So can he clear the board?
Yes, he
and
can.
Dodge burn spells from Chakki.
Actually, I'm not. Let's evaluate. How good is that? The quick shot was already enough to get a full clear on the board, but that Unleash the Hounds might be better than the Bow. High main certainly not an option, because then that would mean that either the Bloodsail Corsair or the Frothing Berserker would stay on the board and probably be lethal. So the quick shot is happening, I would say. Unleash the Hounds. Yeah, I mean, 3 is probably the best you're gonna get with it, right?
Yeah, and 4 damage is what you're trying to avoid because you haven't seen a Mortal Strike and you haven't seen a Heroic Strike, and those are both spells that deal 4 damage. So if you take 3 damage with the Bow and leave Chakki with a 6 damage Arcanite Reaper, you're in a position where you're pretty likely to die the next turn, given Chakki has one of those 4 burn spells in his hand. So I really like the Unleash the Hounds as opposed to
Absolutely. The more I think about it, the more obvious it seems, because those wolves are going to be, or hounds, those hounds are going to be around until the end, because there are no AoE effects in the warrior deck.
Yeah.
And if he chose to play the bow instead, that would only give him 1 extra attack.
Yeah. And something I want to point out there with PNC's sequencing is he sequenced that incredibly well. He made sure that
no,
he
actually.
Oh, not the end. Not the end. The first part. The fiery bat attacking in when he had 3 creatures on the board.
There's a Corcrona lead.
Okay. That's going to be game, and that's going to be Chakki taking the series. And yeah, PNC sort of said, you know, TJ, you're wrong, as soon as I decided to say that statement there at the end. The fiery bat sequencing was great, but there's Chakki with his rusty
Okay.
hook.
Now I believe you.
Okay, thank you. I'm not going crazy. Yar.
Yeah, that was very convincing from Chakki right there. Even if he didn't draw the lethal damage yet on that turn, I believe he would have had multiple turns to find it later. So very one-sided in the end, I would say.
Yeah, and that just sort of showcases the power of this Pirate Warrior against decks that need some time. He didn't even have like the greatest hand. He didn't get the Nazos First Mate, which is you know sort of what that hook that Chakki has is a testament to. And he didn't get the Bloodcell Cultist, which is another way to buff weapons. He didn't get Fire War Axe, so no early weapons, but still managed to pull off a win. So deck's making waves.
That deck would have had an excellent matchup against the other decks too, but we are playing Conquest and not Last Hero Standing, so now Chakki needs to find wins with his other decks and not that Warrior. He has that Beast Druid and he has the hybrid Shaman.
Yeah.
Can we call it that? I think it's pretty hybridy.
It's pretty hybridy. It is an aggressive Shaman. You can tell by the extra burn spells that he has with Lava Burst, but he has Nerubian Prophet, Master of Evolution.
Master of Evolution.
Yeah.
Like, those are interesting. But the double Doomhammer, I mean, whenever there is double Doomhammer, I think you can call it aggro.
Yeah, I think you can. Yeah. And Lava Burst. I think those are like the
Lava Burst
the
too.
three cards, the 3 additions that make it seem aggressive.
I think we can call it aggro Shaman with a twist.
Yeah, I think his deck name is For Nerub.
For Nerub?
Yeah, because of the Nerubian Prophets. So that's the deck name, and he really likes his like one-off tech cards. In the prelims last time, he put Dr. Boom. Now this isn't a crazy tech card or anything. He actually put Dr. Boom in his aggressive Shaman.
Oh,
which in the past was kind of weird.
It's true. It definitely was something that was not very common. And Chakki also, like, I think it shows so much confidence to be making those calls. I play a lot of ladder myself, and I see a lot of Shaman on the ladder, but nobody has played a Nerubian Prophet against me.
Yeah.
Not that I remember.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be the Shaman just yet. Chakki is instead going to first queue up with his Beast Druid, and I'm really curious to see how it plays out. But with that hand,
That is insane!
What? What more can you hope for?
The thing is, what you want to do is... Okay.
He's just going to go for it.
Yeah, he's just going to go
now.
for it. I was going to say, what you want to do is potentially wait 1 turn to make sure that you can Violet Teacher, Living Roots, and Power of the Wild.
Wow.
But at this point, just having Violet Teacher
that's
on turn 1...
Draw. It slows him down. Okay, just the King Select.
Yeah, the thing is, if you play Freezing Trap, all he has to do is cast 1 spell.
It's true. And that's going to be the annoying 1/1.
Yeah.
So good King Select right there.
Yeah.
But Chakki, he knows that there's not really anything that could punish him for playing that Violet Teacher so early on.
Yeah.
It might stick around for quite a while.
Yeah. I was going to say, this is could be a tough choice, whether or not to like double Living Roots, 1 for damage. But this definitely fits his curve. Next turn, he's going to be able to play Living Roots.
Living Roots, Power of the Wild. That's just incredible. Considering what kind of list PNC is running, there's literally no answer to this Violet Teacher. Like, there's nothing that he could use to kill that off. Also, the Hunter board clear is not like static. You can't get a full clear very easily.
Yeah.
There's no brawl. There's nothing like that. Chakki throwing out the early well plays, and while it might be a little bit rude, I think it fits the situation, because from this point on, it's going to be borderline impossible for PNC to come back without any explosive traps.
Yeah, one thing that Chakki's always been known for, besides his second place finishes, has been his showmanship in matches. That's how he burst onto the scene initially. was his emote spam. So not surprised to see those types of emotes. And what do you do in this situation? He's a Savage Roar away from dying. I mean, there's 14 damage on board. He kill commands himself and concedes.
Chakki winning on turn 3, on his turn 3 and PNC's turn 4. That was a quick one, TJ.
Yeah. The thing about Beast Druid is sometimes it can just win games on turn 4, but it can also lose games that quickly because it doesn't have ways. If it doesn't draw into its ways to fight on the board early, it can stumble. But cards like Fandral Staghelm, if you can innervate that early and play like Power of the Wild or even like Living Roots early on, those can snowball the game really quick. And we could see the Violet Teacher plus Power of the Wild combo.
Yeah, he didn't even play any beasts in that game. It was just like a Violet Teacher going off with all those spells. Power of the Wild being one of the key ones there, protecting against like potential Unleash the Hounds. There wasn't really anything PNC could have done against that.
No, and this is both the Hunter and the Rogue struggle against decks that pressure. Hunter doesn't have ways to come back on the board anymore. They don't run Knife Juggler. They can't Knife Juggler Unleash. That's not a thing that exists for them anymore. And it's one of the reasons why Hunter also struggles heavily against Zoo Warlock decks and why he banned it out. Because it just can't deal with boards that are big like that. They don't run Explosive Trap either. So PNC, I think he's in some trouble now. Chakki has 2 opportunities now to find a win with his last deck, which is at Shaman.
Yeah, those Nerubian Prophets, the Master of Evolution, those are some of the cards that I'll definitely be looking out for. Especially the Master of Evolution, seeing how well Chakki can utilize it against PNC's Hunter or Rogue, or both, depending on if we go to Game 5 or not.
Yeah, even though Shaman has been considered one of the stronger classes on ladder, in tournament play, especially if we look back to last week in the Europe Preliminary, it didn't have as much success as people were expecting. It had moderate amount of success, so there's still a chance for PNC, but it's going to be rough.
Yeah, but this one is looking quite good. That's the Rogue starter kit right there. Coin, Preparation, Tomb Pillager, Gadget and Auctioneer. I don't know what more you can hope for. I guess Eviscerate could be a backstab, but that's just amazing.
Yeah, it really is. Eviscerate, having that early with the coin is the best way to deal with Totem Golem. Just having gadgets in. He actually decides to throw it away, which, when you're playing against an aggressive Shaman, sometimes you need tools in the early game like backstabs and SI7 agents to fight for the board instead of trying to wait for turn 6 for gadgets and auction.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand this too, because it might become a little bit too late. It's just in light of... Oh, he still got one. But in light of the other cards, it would have been very tempting. Like, if Gadget and Auctioneer was the only card that you're keeping, that I can't, like, defend that. I think that would be absolutely horrible play. But just with the coin and with the Tomb Pillager and Prep already. But in the end, like, he still got an Auctioneer, and if he kept one Auctioneer, maybe he ended up with 2, and that's not something you want to have.
Yeah, very true. That's a good point. And, Edwin Van Cleave. So, one of the ways you can win with Rogues is by just going for an absurdly sized Edwin Van Cleave very early in the game.
There is some epic sax music going on in my head right now, but I don't think we're going to see that. It's too big of a... Is Chakki playing Hexes?
No.
I don't think there are any, so...
Yeah.
So Chakki probably does not have any answer to it, but it messes up the curve so badly, because turn 3, what do? You eviscerate the Taunt Totem. It makes the rest of the hand, it just doesn't play very well into that, but there's literally no card in Chakki's deck that would deal with it very well. So tough decision for PNC right here.
Except
he might go for it.
Can Master of Evolution get something that would be able to deal with it?
But I kind of maybe like if he was to hold on to it for now and maybe go for it next turn. Like the Prep Eviscerate could kill off the threat that Chakki is playing, or he might pick up a Deadly Poison, make even a bigger one. I kind of like getting the Edwin, but maybe now is not the time yet.
Yeah. Well, next turn, Chakki is going to play the Nerubian Prophet, most likely, unless he picks up something more enticing, which doesn't seem very likely.
No, the Nerubian Prophet still seems better, because playing the Totem Golem here would mean that he can't play the Flame-rated Faceless on 4, which might be something he wants to do. That will delay the Doomhammer 1 turn. So he could also go for Totem Golem right now, play the Nerubian Prophet next turn if he wants to play the Doomhammer on 5 to play around Sap, because Sap would certainly punish the Flame Rated quite a bit. Okay, so I believe this play is that he's going to just skip the Flame Rated because of Sap.
Yeah. Which is a smart play. He might have made the read PNC thought for a long time, and Chakki saw that PNC threw away all his cards but one.
Yep.
So he probably thinks that maybe there's, one of those ideal rogue hands. If a rogue keeps that many cards, a lot of times it means that they're going to be able to fight for the board. So Chakki realizes that pacing himself and making a big power turn, where he doesn't just play 1 minion at a time, he plays multiple minions on a turn with a cheap Nerubian Prophet, is going to be the way to go in this match.
Here we go. It's going to be an 8-8-1 cliff, and Chakki, lightning bolt would let him kill it. Lava burst, no good. Nerubian Prophet, kind of the only play, I think.
Yeah.
This, what do you do? Double rock biter, hit it.
Yeah.
No,
I see your 4 mana 7/7, and I raise you a 3 mana 8/8.
Yeah, but I think that Chakki might kind of wanna like ignore that for now.
Thank you.
And just go for the raise. But how do you raise an 8-8 that one cliff? Maybe it's impossible, and Lava Burst trade is what he has to do.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can raise that really. Like, no way. It is a lot of burn though. Like the rock biter for turn 6. Not enough mana to Lava Burst as well.
He's only on a 2-turn clock is the thing. So if he ignores and just goes face, then PNC would only have to attack twice more, and that would be given he didn't remove anything off the board. So
Tough spot.
yeah, I think you might have to just expend a lot of burn here in order to deal with the board, which doesn't feel good, but it probably gives you the best chance of winning.
Yeah, he could have even cleared both of the minions without taking any
Whoa.
damage, but he's going to take an aggressive line here, and I'm certainly going to be interested to see if it works out.
Well, next turn he has double Rock Biter.
Yeah, but it's not enough, because there's no mana to cast a Lava Burst too, so that would be 20 damage. So I suppose if the 4/4 stick to the board and he drew a Lightning Bolt, that would get the job done.
Yeah. And PNC has to be thinking about what's the worst case scenario. I have such a huge lead. Is it worth it leaving a Nerubian Prophet up? And I think the answer is no.
You go. No,
Really?
I think you definitely go face. You set up the lethal, because why do you die to, like, it would have to be precisely double Rock Biter Lightning Bolt. Like, is there anything else that would kill him? I think it's so important to, like, make sure that you have a lethal setup for next turn. I think you just go for a face.
Okay. You do have the lethal setup regardless.
I don't think he would. He would miss. Would he have it with a Shiv Assai agent? Yeah, I suppose it would still get the job done.
It is a tough call though. He's saying what's the maximum possible damage that he can do, and that is double Rock Biter.
So unlikely.
Lightning, Lightning Bolt. Yeah, he's only drawn what?
But he does
cards?
have the lethal setup. He does still have it, because he gets the coin. So Bloody Mage, Shiv, coin, Assai. But there's also a spell power from the Drake. But if the Drake was to die, like, so Lava Burst on the Drake, then the lethal is no longer there.
Yeah. But the thing is, if Chakki removes here, will he buy himself more time? We'll have going face. It might have made the difference here, deciding to trade. He might be playing too safely.
I think Chakki has a decent chance here now, because he could play the Tunnel Drug, Lava Burst the Drake, go face for 4, then he has that double Rock Biter for the next turn.
Yeah.
So there is definitely some hope with Chakki.
Yeah, maybe going face was the right play.
It would have, in this particular situation, it definitely would have worked out better. Like, he would have just won the game right there. So,
yeah.
So it would have worked, but... Playing that instead of the Tunnel Drug. Very interesting. Why do you think he went for the abusive over the Tunnel Drug?
I'm not sure. I really don't know.
Because, like, couldn't he have drawn, like, a Charger for the abusive?
He does have Argent Horse Riders in his deck. I mean, I guess he wouldn't have enough mana for it, but Chakki's going to be going to the next turn with 5 mana available, so he actually has quite a few outs. He'll have 16 damage with double Rock Biter.
That is so
he can draw either Lightning Bolts, he can draw Argent Horse Rider, either Argent Horse Rider, second Lava Burst, either of the Lightning Bolts.
That is so confusing to me, because, like...
Maybe he wants to bait in a dagger attack?
No, but, like, you wanted the dagger attack. Like, right now it can be removed without it, but just an Assai or a Shiv would, like, clear it. And if there was Tunnel Drug, like, let's say there was, like, a backstep, you still have to hit it with your dagger. And now it's, like, it can be removed so easily by the Assai.
PNC seems upset that he dropped the Earthring Farseer. I wonder why.
He's just nervous here.
Yeah.
So, a lot on the line.
Yeah.
So, he could go for Earthring Farseer, use his hero power to remove that. That seems slightly better than the Assai, because the Assai gives you that little bit of extra damage. Oh, he's gonna leave it up, okay.
All right, well...
Wait, what? Okay. Alright. Well, that is like something to see if that gives Chakki another turn. Not the case, because he didn't throw something like a Feral Spirit for now.
Yeah. He's playing it very safe. You can tell just how nervous he is. But despite the Earthring Farseer heal, or even with the Earthring Farseer heal, he still would have won.
Taunt Totem. If he gets a Taunt Totem right here... Okay, well that's not a taunt, so this game is definitely over. There's nothing Chakki can do in this situation.
Yeah.
The Taunt Totem, if there was nothing to combo the Assai agent with, in that case it might have saved Chakki for another turn, but wait, hold on, there's still nothing to combo that with. No, but he can just use the weapon, right?
Yeah.
Like he's just dead on the board.
Yep. 12. Yeah.
Yeah, like, doesn't even need to combo the agent, just a dagger up and yeah. He's gonna do it. He's still gonna go for the sap for some BM value.
Well, Chakki did emote him in the last game.
It's true, so...
He's trying to get back for that,
even.
but that's gonna be PNC.
Oh yeah.
Rubbing his hands. He's gonna bring it to a game number 5, so now Chakki has lost 2 of these matches with his Shaman. Is he gonna be able to take a win against the mid-range Hunter? It's going to be the last matchup.
I'm not sure who that favors more. It might favor the Hunter maybe, because like the Shaman has no way to heal, and that hero power can be kind of like inevitable. But if the Shaman gets a big board early on, if he curves out well, like starts with a tunnel chalk, gets some like, totem golem, all that kind of stuff, maybe it's too much for the Hunter to clear.
Yeah, the Hunter early on just has basically 2 drops that don't really contest well with the board. They're 2 drops that are sort of just, the only good 2 drops that Hunter can run right now. He needs either good juggles or maybe even like a huge toad juggle in order to push it through. But I really do like the Shaman because Feral Spirits is really hard to deal with. You have to have multiple resources in order to deal with it. And also Totem Golem. You have to expend usually 2 things, either a quick shot in a minion or a bow attack in a minion. And Shamans can snowball a game pretty easily, especially since Hunters don't really have a way to block damage.
Yeah, and like Doomhammer is almost impossible to stop, and Chakki has so much reach with his list, so the Shaman might be too fast, but if the game goes long, that definitely favors the Hunter.
Yeah, PNC is praying for early drops and doesn't find a 2-drop. That's so crucial.
Yeah, the 2-drop here, if he ends up hero powering on 2, he knows that the board is going to be very, very hard to get back. Getting the 1-drop would also obviously help. Fiery Bat would be... Oh, there it is! Oh, that's a great one for PNC. That definitely helps. But there's Argent Squire from Chakki is a good counter to it, kind of.
Yeah.
There is still that death roll, though, which could take it out.
Chakki has the combo. The Derubian Prophet
It's
in the Master of Evolution.
Yeah. Can't wait for it.
Yeah.
That'd be so awesome to see. So it's going to turn into a 7-drop? What good 7-drops there are? Gilmo and...
Baron Geddon.
Baron Geddon. Oh my goodness. Do you want that one, though?
Yeah. Not usually.
No.
Prophet Velen.
Yeah, PNC really frustrated about this.
Yeah.
There's nothing else he can do but hero power.
Prophet Velen could actually be a really huge deal.
Oh yeah.
Aggro Shaman.
Double Lava Burst. Lava Burst for 10 damage there.
3-mana Pyroblast.
That's pretty sick.
No big deal. And he has to hero power.
Yeah, a little bit of like a desperation thing maybe from PNC right there. Trying to take out that tunnel truck with that death rattle. But it didn't work out this time. And Chakki has some options here. Goes for the hero power. Nerubian Prophet is something he wants to play next turn. Abusive. Maybe wants to keep it for improving the trades later on. To get rid of the annoying minions.
But PNC has to be happy that Chakki missed his turn 2. Well, sort of missed. He did totem up, but he didn't have a totem golem, which is a big deal.
Yeah, so even though PNC missed his turn 2, Chakki kind of missed his as well.
Yeah.
And here, Chakki has to be looking at that grub right now as something that he needs to take out because of the potential Houndmaster. He knows that PNC is running 2 Houndmasters, and with no silence, with no Hex, he would have to get through that 4-7. So right now is the time that it's the easiest to get rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Houndmaster is the one way that you can get heavily punished in this early game. And Chakki knows that Chakki's a guy that values preparation a lot, and he has to know that this list from PNC is not going to have a way to deal with a wide board very easily. He only runs one Unleash the Hounds, so it's very unlikely that he's going to have it this early in the game. So Chakki realizes that going wide with his board and trying to spread out his threats is going to be the right option. And playing around Houndmaster at the same time is going to be definitely the right call.
Knowing Chakki, I know Chakki well enough as well to know that he has done his homework. He knows what PNC is playing. After knowing his opponent, I'm sure the first thing he has done is like check out this Hunter list and check out the other decks. So there are Houndmasters, he knows it, and he does correctly take out the Carrion Crab.
Yeah. And now this is a tough situation because if you Animal Companion, Huffer is just it's not very good. You have to trade it into like the Argent Squire to get value out of it, and that's your entire turn.
But the options are not any better though. Like Kill Commander kind of gets the same job done. If you go for the Animal Companion, you get a Leok or Misha. There could be 2 Overload from Chakki, and the Tunnel Drog would just take out that anyway. So it's PNC kind of has his back against the wall here. I wouldn't blame him for just kill commanding the Drog.
Yeah.
But how does it like play into the next one? I suppose Freezing Trap, Animal Companion maybe. But doing the kill command leaves the least room for Chakki to like get the benefits out of that Tunnel Drog ability.
Yeah. So Chakki picks up the Doom Hammer. So pretty good draw. It's going to allow him to play that on turn 5, unless he just feels like going with Massive Evolution, which is a great option on that Nerubian Prophet.
It's pretty tough to pass up when you have a chance to do that.
Whoa, so Unleash the Hounds.
Oh, and with a freezing trap, that's amazing. He can take out everything except for the Nerubian Prophet. Go for the Freezing Trap to return that. And it would not only go back to 6 mana, but actually all the way to 8 if it was to get frozen. Chakki, like I just mentioned, that he has done his homework for sure. He knows exactly what the trap is. It is a freezing trap, and you don't attack with that minion right here.
Yeah.
Nope.
The thing is, though, when is he gonna find a chance to attack with a minion if he doesn't attack now?
It's true. So Doomhammer might look like a better option. It also curves out very well because with the 2 Overload next turn, he will still be able to play the Master of Evolution. So
yeah,
I definitely like this play, and he's going to go for the clears. So Chakki feeling like he doesn't need to end the game super fast. Oh, deadly shot. Well, wow, PNC getting some nice cards here. It fits the curve also very well with that Animal Companion.
Yeah. But he does have the Freezing Trap up protecting it already. Is it worth... Okay, I guess he decides it's worth it, yeah. Because now Chakki has to not only play a minion, but then wait a turn to be able to attack in the Freezing Trap, so...
that also takes the Master of Evolution play away. PNC probably has studied Chakki's deck list, so he doesn't want to see that getting evolved into a 7-drop.
Yeah. But we're coming up on pretty big power turns for both players. Oh man, Carrion Grub, perfect timing.
Amazing card to get in this situation. And the Call of the Wild for next turn. Suddenly this game has turned around and it's going PNC's way. That is amazing. Like the Call of the Wild is such a powerful card, and not only does he have it for the turn 8, where you want to play it, obviously, like you want to play it as fast as possible, but he had borderline optimal turn for his 7-2, getting 8 power, 10 toughness on the board, and there's also that taunt, which is a huge deal when you're up against the Doomhammer.
Yeah, Chakki does have quite a bit of burst in his hand though, so will PNC be able to close out the game before Chakki's able to piece together enough damage to find the win?
Yeah, Chakki going for the rock by the right here. Is he going to... He's probably going to remove both of these minions. Ow, ow. Against Hunter Hero Power, you don't want to take that much. No, this is going face, right? Okay. Yeah, you don't want to take that far. Although it might be something that you have to take later, but... Here we go. Call of the Wild. That is so powerful. You can see it on Chakki's face as well. He wanted to see any other card from PNC besides that. And the next throw has to be a good one, or Chakki is going to drop to the lower bracket.
All right, well, I don't think that's going to be enough. It looks like Chakki is going to be staring at a loss. Who would have thought that Shaman would have been the weak link in a deck list with Beast Druid and Pirate Warrior?
There might be a play with the Lava Burst and the Spirit Wolf. There's like a play where, in theory, he survives one more turn, but it's still looking pretty rough to like be able to get a win afterwards. So you could Lava Burst the
Misha.
Misha.
Okay.
And trade for the Hopper. Or the... Well, obviously the Hopper is better choice than the Houndmaster. So you play the Spirit Wolf. Then on the board, the Houndmaster would have to trade into the Spirit Wolf.
But how... He would need 2 extra draws.
Yeah, he needs 2 cards. So
in order to win. So, and the hero power just put him on a clock. I don't think... I mean, it's possible, but it's very unlikely.
It is,
maybe if he gets a Taunt Totem next turn to block some damage from one of the minions. Or if he picks up a second Feral Spirits. Or maybe he doesn't run Ancestral Knowledge, so that's not an option.
Oh, he's gonna bite the bullet here. But this sets it up in a way where just the hero power is going to be enough in 2 turns. And PNC finds a Houndmaster. So, yeah. It's not lethal, but it's pretty close. And a Chakki with the Master of Evolution, Totem Golem, those guys are worthless. And the next draw seems irrelevant. There's no card in Chakki's deck that would bring him back from this situation.
Yeah, no healing wave in this aggressive Shaman.
Yeah. Not even Evolve, like, no way there's a 3-drop that would save.
All right, well that means that PNC is going to take the victory over Chakki. And a little bit of clapping, a little bit of celebration. He's got to feel pretty proud about that one. Chakki, of course, coming off his win at DreamHack Austin, is a formidable opponent.
Yeah, it's got to be a bit of a rough one there for Chakki. Really good set overall, and some very interesting moments. I think that last game specifically just showed the reason why everyone's bringing Hunter at the moment, or a good amount of players are bringing Hunter. It definitely feels like...
he did lose the 2 games pretty handily before that.
That last game shows what Hunter can do, right?
Yeah.
Normally, if you can survive to turn 8, the Call of the Wild is such an impactful card that's very difficult to actually, crawl back from after that. It's definitely a tough one for Chakki, but he did get a good Pirate performance, which is, I think, what we all wanted to see.
Yeah, I mean, that last game, that starting hand looked really rough for the Hunter player, but it just, at right moments, he got the right cards that would kind of help him out and be able to survive that turn 8 that is so meaningful.
Yeah, it's sort of what Hunter has become. That's why Doomsayer has sort of been thrown into the deck sometimes, is because it's basically become, in these faster matchups, or even in the slower matchups, survive until turn 8, throw down Call of the Wild, and effectively win the game. And you could see Chakki's reaction once he saw that Call of the Wild. He knew that it was kind of over. He was trying to avoid it, and he did fall. He'll have to fight it out through the lower bracket now. And dropping in the first round is the toughest, because that means you have to win something ridiculous like 10 matches in a row in order to make it to that top 8.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough one. Do you think there was like the lineups overall didn't go very well for Chakki, or do you think it more just came down to the game by game?
I think the lineups were just fine, especially like the Pirate Warrior. It looks like it had a good time there. The Rogue was something that Chakki should have been able to punish a little bit harder, but I think the Rogue draw was just so powerful that it was impossible to stop in this situation. With that Van Cleef, for example, it was just so powerful, and then for getting an 8-8, no answer. Yeah,
it was definitely a crazy set overall, but we do have some updates now ready with Frodan and friends.
Thank you very much. What an exciting series number 2 to watch some of the Latin American players really rise up to the occasion. I'm joined by Sottle and Bob to give you guys more updates as well as to do some nice stuff as we get ready for our 3rd match, which is coming up in just a second. So Sottle, how did you enjoy that series? I mean, it's cool to see Hunter finally take one for the team, right?
Yeah, it absolutely is. Hunter was a deck that's just about appeared. I think we would have seen a little bit more of it, even if the deck submission was maybe even a day later, because it really emerged around exactly that time. But seeing Hunter is awesome.
And Bob, I think you feel much better about your phone tap pick now that Hunter's actually on the map here.
Absolutely. And, one great thing about that series, too, is in spite of missing some of those critical juggles from the Flame Juggler and from the Death Rattles on the damage minions, he still managed to pull it out.
Yeah, missed the turn 2 play for Hunter, which, oftentimes is one of the death sentences for that deck. But you guys saw it, so you guys know what happened. And, of course, PNC has to move on to the next round. Now, speaking of which, have we have any player updates here, specifically people on our board, or anybody notable that you've been keeping attention to?
There's a few. I mean, you said Bob would be feeling good about his phone tap pick, but phone tap is unfortunately in the lower bracket right now. He lost to Neves early on, so he's in lower. Yoit's Flow, who was TJ's pick, is also in lower. He lost to Rosti early on. But a couple of other players who are not on the board, but some notable names, Impact, Demigod, LBYS, they're all progressing nicely through the upper bracket. So.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that update. Now, while while we have a quick second here, I do want to have some fun stuff with Frodan. Fun facts with Frodan.
I'm scared.
It's a new segment that we're pushing out here, where we get to not only test the caster's knowledge on just, casting games and Hearthstone and the metagame there, but also about how much are you guys in tune with Whispers of the Old Gods, the new expansion. So, the way it's going to go is I'll just ask you guys a question in tandem, and if you don't get the question right, the other person gets a steal for double the points, and it keeps going until one person can guess correctly. First question I'll toss to you, Subtle, is how many tentacles is on N'Zoth's card art?
Damn, that is a question. I am going to go with 5.
Nope, 5 is not the case. Do you want to take it? You want to take a chance to steal?
Taking a guess, 6.
Nope, 6. No, that's not the answer. You want to try to go for double? This is 4 points now.
4.
No, you guys are getting a little bit colder.
8.
8 is correct. So that is 8 points for Bob. I'm going to have to write an 8 here. TJ is pretty sad because he had to write on this board. You know what? We're not keeping track. Points don't matter anyways. Question number 2. How many cards in the set Whispers of the Old Gods have Cthulhu in the card title? Bob, you go first.
I think it's 7.
Nope, 7 is too high. Subtle?
In the title or the text?
In the card title. So, for example, Cthulhu itself counts as 1.
5.
5 is very close, but is not the case. Bob?
4?
4 is the
very
right
close.
case.
How is that fair?
It's Cthulhu, Blade of Cthulhu, Disciple of Cthulhu, and Cthulhu's Chosen. Last question here. Actually, I have 2 more questions. I apologize. How many heads does Yasharj have? Subtle.
2?
No. Wow, you were really unfamiliar with Warcraft lore here.
Oh,
Bob.
wow. Who knew?
Oh man, Yasar's. Well, my first guess would be many, but
that does count, but you have to get a little bit warmer than that.
how about 5?
5 is not the case, but you're getting warmer. Subtle?
4.
No,
Okay.
not at all. I'm actually pretty disappointed. I'll just answer. It's 7 because Yasharj is known for just having a lot of numbers with 7. 7 heads, the 7 Prime Shah. Nimsh would know. We'll have to have him upgrade over Subtle. Speaking of Yasharj, who's the one who restored his heart?
See ya.
That would be Grommash Hellscream.
Wow, he knew it exactly. And Bob, you are the best caster here. Thank you so much for everyone who's tuned in. We have about 1 minute left before we get into our next match. Don't go anywhere. Before that, we want to remind you guys to stay engaged in the conversation by hashtagging HCT and tweeting at us at PlayHearthstone or go to Facebook.com/Hearthstone. And with that, I believe we are just about ready to go. And do you guys know what's coming up here for the next match here, Subtle?
I do not, actually. You've set me up. I don't know what the next game is. Why don't you tell them?
Well, I actually think it is... No, that match was actually postponed. I apologize. We'll actually get it in just a second here. My apologies here. All right, so I think we're just ready to go into the next match in just a second. Apologies for that.
There you go. Amnesiac versus Impact. There we go. We've got him.
Amnesiac versus Impact. Let's go to the media piece, and when we come back, we're going to have the 4th match here of the Spring Preliminary D number 1.